Phase Hero, the Superman trailer episode starts right now. I'm BD, joined this morning by Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody. It is a beautiful day. I'm so happy to be here.
Jenna, how are you feeling? Do we even have to ask?
I have a feeling you can tell. For the audio listeners, I'm wearing the Superman shirt. I'm ready to go. This has been the highlight of my week, the highlight of my month, practically. Like, this is unbelievable. Can't wait to talk about it.
Incredible trailer. We're about to talk about it. And I have a friend on the show today who is new to Phase Hero. Screen Rants, Joe Deckelmeyer. Joe, thanks for hanging with us, dude.
Yo, it is finally here. It is over. The wait is over. The Superman trailer has finally arrived. Man, it's been a long wait, but I could not believe it. It's finally here. We got these. Man, I'm telling you, I'm like having to wipe away tears right now from that trailer. It's so good.
Yeah, the reason I asked Joe to be here is not just because he's one of my best friends. It's because we sat next to each other in the front row, Willem Dafoe style, of the theater, the trailer preview event on the Warner Brothers lot, and we got to hear from James Gunn, David Corenswet, Nicholas Hoult, and Rachel Brosnahan. Which was awesome. So I was like, I don't want to come at this alone as the only person who was there. I want to have a friend who I trust, who can have a good time with us, and whose opinion I value. And I want to have, of course, you can't not do this with Jenna. Jamie, fast asleep right now. Jenna had to be here. And Jenna, first, I mean, you texted me this morning, and I think I know what you thought. But listen, we know how much DC means to you. We know how much Superman means to you. What did you think of the trailer?
I've seen it 3 times now before we started recording. The first time was just pure shock and screaming and just like being in awe of the images that I was seeing. And then the second time through was when I started crying. I cannot believe that this is the DC universe that we're getting. I cannot believe that this is just the world that we get to live in. It looks unbelievable. It feels so fleshed out. It feels so just epic and beautiful. We'll talk about the specifics of it, but just I can't even think about it without crying. It's unbelievable.
The music, like him saving that little girl right out of the gate. We're gonna pull the trailer up in a second and do kind of a shot by shot, just see what we see. Joe, what do you think of the trailer?
You know, I'm happy that you convinced me to sit in the front row with you, because the tagline is "Look Up," and we were definitely looking up the whole time. But also, like, what it did for me, I felt like when I was a kid, Christopher Reeve made me believe a man can fly, and David Corenswet made me believe that again. And we'll talk about the experience that we had on Monday and just talking with David, because I feel like there's so many aspects that he brings to the role of not just Superman, but what I'm probably more excited for is Clark Kent, because we haven't had that duality in quite a while, maybe since Christopher Reeve. I know we got a little bit in Superman and Lois, but that duality is just so important. I feel like in order to have a good Superman, you need a great Clark Kent. And I think David Corenswet really encompasses all of that.
I actually have a quote I want to share right now, right out of the gate from the Q&A. David Corenswet was asked what he used for inspiration in terms of comics, and it's no secret All-Star Superman is the inspiration, but this is the full quote. He said, James suggested All-Star Superman, which I did read, and for Clark specifically, it was interesting having a silent version to look at. I hadn't read so many Superman comics that I had a sense of all the different Clarks that had appeared in the comics. I knew the ones that appeared in television and in films. It was great having a silent one and getting an impression from it. I drew a lot from that for Clark. I also stole some stuff from my brother-in-law, who is 6'8", 270 pounds, and has the deepest voice and is always in the way and always trying not to be. I took that for Clark. And in this trailer, I feel like the moment you see him in the street, just being taller than people, being bigger than a lot of people, but also having like just kind of messy curly hair, a little bit disheveled on his way to the Daily Planet, presumably. Like, that is Clark Kent, and that is so different already, just visually, from Superman. And I love that. I think that's awesome.
I agree. I like, to Joe's point, I feel like as much as I liked a lot of what Henry Cavill did, he didn't really have that much of a difference between Clark and between Superman. Whereas like it is so clear here of the persona. There's the one shot from the Christopher Reeves movies where he literally just like stands up and his posture changes and you can tell he's switching from Clark Kent to Superman. And I feel like David is delivering that level of performance, but in a modern context. And I'm just overjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, like just that slouch. It seems like David maybe went with like an underbite, like a little bit of like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What impressed me the most too is when we were at that event, he even like mimicked like being 6'8" and moving around and bouncing into people. But then he also, the thing that stood out to me is what he said about the physical, almost physical comedy of Clark, that he drew a lot on Jerry Lewis, which I found really fascinating because anybody that's familiar with Jerry Lewis, he was very, like kind of flimsy in a way with his comedic performance, but he was always drawing attention to himself. But he said the challenge was to not draw attention to himself, but still have that same physical performance as Jerry Lewis, which to me is exactly what I wanted from Clark Kent.
Yeah. I talking to them afterwards was awesome too, because David is just like, he's so chill. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like he does, I mean, granted, listen, I know he's not like a superstar with fame yet. As soon as this movie comes out, that's going to change. I actually asked him, I said, dude, has like the life changes of playing Superman started to set in yet? And he was just like, no, for the most part, people don't really even know who I am still. And I find that to be so interesting because this trailer is going to get views. This movie is going to get watched. And I feel like overnight that maybe it's not an overnight process. Like you get cast as Superman and suddenly we all in this bubble know who you are. I wasn't familiar with David Corenswet before he was cast as Superman. I'm not going to lie about it. But now but that said, until I met him, he probably could have walked past me on the street and I wouldn't have known. If I'm honest. But yeah, let's pull up the trailer. Let's take a look at it and just go frame by frame. I love how it opens in the ice here. Boom, crash landing. All right, Jenna, what were you thinking when you see the crash landing?
I know a lot of people have already been curious of like what gets him to this point. Like, why is he injured? Why is he like slightly depowered? Why does he need Crypto to come and help him? I can't wait to find out what that is. But just having that be the very first thing we are seeing and the very first thing we're seeing in live action for this new universe, it's such a James Gunn way of approaching it, of like completely defying our expectations.
I totally agree. Joe, what'd you think?
Like James Gunn said, Superman represents America. And I feel that like this new Superman, especially seeing him right in the middle of the action where we start, it definitely does. I mean, every time I see Superman kind of get beat up, I get a little emotional. There was that scene in Superman Returns where he's like depowered and he's getting kicked on the ground. As a kid, I remember in 2006 or whenever that movie came out, like crying in the movie theater. This is how I felt watching this again.
Can we actually, I want to go back to that quote you just said about James Gunn saying this battered Superman at the beginning of this trailer is our country. It's a reflection of the America we live in right now. I actually was pretty surprised James Gunn, kind of like, for lack of a better way to describe it, like had the balls to say what he said in a sense.
Sure.
Because what he said is like, Superman's battered there. That's a reflection of our country. He chooses to see the good in people. And then he went on to say that he lives in rural Georgia. Now, obviously, what he was saying is that Georgia is a very conservative state. We're doing this in LA, which is the complete opposite politically, which is a very liberal city. And he was saying, when I go outside in Georgia, I see the beauty in people. I think that people just are always trying to do good for themselves. They're kind of like, they're not out, like, for the most part. Yes, obviously, some people not. But I'm just going to read the quote instead of trying to paraphrase it because I want to get it right, because I think this is a really interesting thing that he said. And I appreciated that he said it, to be honest. Let me find it. Rural Georgia, that's the key word. He didn't say it more. He said, it's about basic kindness of human beings, and that it can be seen as uncool and that it can be seen as under siege when some of the darker voices are some of the louder voices. And that's what happens when you let the internet seem like it's the world, and it's not the world. I live in a very rural part of Georgia, and I see the kindness and the beauty in the people every day who don't share the same political beliefs as I do. But I think that's what the movie is about, the basic fundamental decency of human beings all over the world. And I find that really interesting. I really think that this is a movie that's, like, I've talked to Peter Safran, I've talked to James. Like, one thing I keep hearing is that they think people are going to be filled with hope and joy when the movie ends. And I think, like, y'all, everybody listens to Phase Hero knows I like the gritty stuff. I like some of the, especially with Marvel, like, I like when it's more grounded. I'm excited for Cap 4 for that reason. But the fact that they're not, like, this is going to be something that feels like it's going to unite people, make us feel good, make us feel hopeful. I fucking love that. I love it. But yeah, anything you guys want to say about that? I'll take us back to the trailer if not.
I think he captured that perfectly. I love that this is a Superman for everybody.
Yeah,
that's what Superman should be, is somebody that is the best of humanity. And I love that that encompasses that with what James said.
All right, we're going to bring this up. We got over 600 people watching live right now. Thanks, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Lots of Superman stuff. Make sure you do that. And also subscribe to Jenna's channel at Go Read Some Comics, because she is killing it over there. And I have a feeling there's going to be some pretty good DC stuff on that channel in the near future.
As soon as we're done recording, I am going to be in the edit bay with videos for this and for Creature Commandos. So
absolutely, today's episode, my goodness.
Oh,
All right, back to the trailer. We won't spoil Creature Commandos for the people who haven't seen it yet. I got to, oh my god, I got to stand right there at that Daily Bugle. That was so cool. I love the. Or sorry, yeah. Oh my god, wow! I just committed an absolute offense.
Oh yeah, Daily Planet. Come on, man. Hey, quick question for you, Brandon.
I'm gonna fire myself from my own show. That was terrible.
When you were on that set, was that Daily Planet facade? Was that just a facade, or were you able to actually go into an actual Daily Planet?
No, that's an actual functioning Daily Planet. And no, I'm just kidding. No, that's the front of a building. And I believe that the Daily Planet that we see the interior of must be a sound stage, probably on a studio lot. But this was in Cleveland. This is the set I went to. This is where you saw the set photos from. This is where I had a wrestling match 2 blocks up the street back in August. Very proud of that. I keep bringing it up. I think the fact that there's blood in the trailer is also interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, I think a lot of superhero movies that are PG-13 that try to welcome in kids will shy away from somebody spitting up blood. And James was like, not me.
Answers Ben Affleck's question. Do you bleed?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Don't get us started, Joe. The music of the trailer, if we play it, this video will get taken down. But, it's great. I think that the Daily Planet being listen, we talk about Spider-Man on Phase Hero more often than Superman, so it's just it just comes out. This reminds me of the OG Superman movies, the openness of the Daily Planet. I feel like this shot right here might be not this one, but this shot right here, that this wide shot with Clark at the center, could be like that continuous shot we saw. You remember that? Do you remember that shot that the camera just goes through the Daily Planet and just immerses you? I feel like James is gonna do that, and I love it.
I could totally see that. I also, I have to bring up Smallville because it is one of my favorite Superman adaptations of all time. And just seeing the contrast of this Daily Planet versus the Daily Planet on that show, where for most of the show, they're in the basement when they're working there. And that's kind of their bullpen, their newsroom. And just seeing this is definitely a similar sort of spirit in terms of architecture, but they're a little bit higher up in the building.
Yeah. I like that. You and that person in the comment section had the same exact comment. There's Lois Lane reading the newspaper as no one does today, but I appreciate the fact that she is. What else we got? I think it's interesting. They got just the news and everything right there, and she's still reading a newspaper. Mm-hmm. I tried to look at the TVs to find Easter eggs. Nothing I could find. Look at Clark. This dude. Go ahead.
No, I do think that might be Eve Tessmacher on TV because we know she's in the movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's giving an interview in some sort of fashion for Luthor Corp. So that's interesting if that is the case.
I will also say there is an actress in this movie who has not yet been announced. Mm. So James at the end of the Q&A said that he was talking about the trailer and people seeing the trailer, and he said he showed someone in their trailer. He said, there was an actress in a trailer. I showed it to her. She started crying, and I can't say who because she's in the movie and she's not announced yet. So let me put on my tinfoil hat real quick. That makes me think Supergirl is in the movie. Because if this was recent enough that he showed someone the trailer while filming that isn't announced to be in the film, and they're starting filming Supergirl next month, that to me goes, who else could it be? Now, who is this person? Jenna, Joe, if you have guesses, I'd love to hear them. Comment section, please. Who do you think is the actress that's in Superman that hasn't been announced yet? To me, I'm immediately going Millie.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
Same. I agree. I think that
who would have a strong enough reaction other than Supergirl?
I feel like everyone who's involved with this movie is probably going to have a strong reaction, but I do think you're on the money though.
Unless it's somebody that we completely don't know is cast for anything.
Yeah.
Jorge said, after 18 years, we finally had a real Superman movie. It feels like Superman and Metropolis, Rachel and David really look like Lois and Clark. Thank you for the comment, Jorge. I do think we've had I love Man of Steel. I think it's a bit different from Superman that people like. I know, but I don't even want to have that debate right now. All right.
The comment section is having it for us, so we don't even need to.
Guys, we're here. We're all excited. You're allowed to have your opinions. I just ask you keep it respectful. Also, I have an update on Clayface that I'm gonna share at the end here, and an update on the credit scene for Superman and whether or not there is one. But we'll get through this trailer first. Look at these two falling in love. Look at Clark, that dork. Oh my
this
god.
Clark reminds me so much of the All-Star Superman Clark, which is exactly what he referenced. And I love that Clark hunches over a little bit to kind of like fit in, but I can't wait for him to just stand up straight and be that Superman.
I mean, he really just looks like him, dude. Like he looks like that All-Star Superman. Which, obviously we said David did read from the director of. I find it interesting that this is what Warner Brothers went with, director of Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and no mention of the Suicide Squad.
Because that's more well-known for like general audiences. As much as I love the Suicide Squad, I think that this is how you get the people who only go to maybe one big movie a year and who remember Guardians of the Galaxy, but might not have seen the Suicide Squad in theaters and might have just seen it on streaming or not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I just was surprised that there wasn't a second one or something. Papa Kent, there he is. You don't really get a shot of his face, but this looks like a personal heavy moment between them. Jorge said, I did actually love Man of Steel. Respect to you, Jorge. Thank you for that. Cool shot there.
Makes me wonder where Martha's at, though. Is Martha the one that passes away instead and Jonathan lives, or...
I do remember them casting her for this movie. Like I remember seeing that in the trades. So she's in the movie, but who knows what the story is actually going to be with that.
Right.
Why did you say that name? This summer, here we go. Okay, he's still laying there, getting the whistle off. Crypto running in. I mean,
this was the best.
Joe, if Martha dies in this movie, I'm going to think of you in July. All right, we got Crypto running in. I actually have a quote about Crypto. Let me pull it up while this plays.
I love It Begins, by the way, just as like the tagline in the trailer. Like that is just such a cool way to just start this new universe.
I love that.
I love it. I just the whole trailer to me is fantastic. So Crypto, maybe not a good boy. James Gunn said he said this for context on this opening shot with Crypto and Superman falling into the ice and being battered. He said, from the beginning, I think we're seeing a different side of Superman than we see normally on screen. This movie, at the end of the day, is not about power. This movie is about a loose term of the word, a human being, and who he is as a person, and as a person who is struggling with his day-to-day life. We see different aspects of him at the beginning. So I thought it was cool. This was a cool place to start the trailer. But then more specifically about Crypto, he said, Superman's relationship with Crypto is complicated. He's not nearly the best dog he seems. There's a lot more to Crypto than you see in the trailer. Interesting. All right. More to Crypto than we see in the trailer. What do you think that means?
Well, James did say he based Crypto on a dog that he rescued.
Yeah.
It was not the best behaved dog, which I think is great. Any dog owner out there knows that to train a dog, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot. And I think that hopefully we get to see Superman in that position with Crypto, which will be a lot of fun for everybody. I think kids will love that stuff too.
I think so too. Brandon Moore said, I legit got emotional watching this trailer for the first time. It was everything I could have hoped for and more. Loving the discussion, BD, Jenna, and Joe. Brandon, you're the best, man. Thank you so much.
I love Brandon Moore. That guy's great.
I mean, he's everywhere. He's just everywhere online, spreading positivity. Comics with Izzyverse NYC. He's a perfect blend of Reeves meets Cavill. I mean, I got to agree. I think that I love both of them, and I'm already feeling Corenswet. All right, let's hit play again. Let's keep it moving. Almost 900 people watching live. Thank you so much, everybody. Saving Heroes being a hero right out of the gate in a beautifully shot frame as well.
David said that a lot, like the one thing that he was surprised the most at with this shoot was that a lot of things were done practically. He said this shot in particular was a practical shot, though he wasn't the one that was there in frame. He said that this all was captured in camera, which is really, really impressive to me, especially on a superhero film with a budget this big. You would assume that there'd be all this blue screen and green screen. And it seems James tried to do everything he could practically for this film, which I applaud.
I mean, you could tell it's practical too. The sharpness of it, the realism of it, it is there, and it's the right call. It's insane that somebody got blasted with a bunch of canisters. I'm glad that a stuntman survived. Jenna, what do you think of this?
I think it's unbelievable. And yeah, to Joe's point, just to having practical filmmaking, practical stunts like that is just impressive in any major blockbuster like this. But just to have it in this and have that be the footing that we're setting this universe in just makes me overjoyed.
Another cool thing too is look how Superman is protecting that kid's neck because he came in so fast, making sure there's no whiplash or any damage. I like the little technical things there.
Yep.
That make it perfect.
We got a comment from Superman. I love the visual effects. Gunn ensured the crew put a lot of care into them. The destruction scenes and that monster were insane. Oh, we're going to get to the monster. Thank you, Superman. What do we think of the costume, by the way? I think it looks way better in the movie than it did in the set photos. Let's act surprised that movie magic works.
Agreed. I think I love the colors and I love the trunks are back.
I loved the costume from as soon as we saw it. Like, I know some people had complicated feelings about like that first photo reveal, but I thought it was perfect, and I figured that it would only look better with time. And so I've loved it.
Big thanks to Casually Cosplaying. Absolutely gorgeous trailer. Vibes are on point. Tell James I said thanks for the super birthday gift. Happy birthday, Casually Cosplaying, man. Good to see, dude. Your Wolverine is going to ship soon, hopefully. He's the only one who will know what that means. But Lex Luthor watching Superman fly and looking pissed about it. I mean, instantly I was like, dude, he looks like Lex. Like, I used a comic photo in a video I posted separately on my channel. And I just typed in Lex Luthor because I wanted to pull a photo for a graphic I was making. And I was like, damn, like he looks like him.
Yeah, there's a comic called Superman Birthright. I feel like they ripped that Lex Luthor and put it right on screen for us.
Yeah. Luthor Corp, not Lex Corp.
Nope. Luthor Corp.
I think the design of this building is really cool.
It is.
Listen, I love it.
We all know I'm like a landmark nerd. I won't shut up about Avengers Tower. Like, we all know it. I love when worlds feel populated and things like a skyline or a location can make you realize what world you're looking at. And this to me is thrilling that Luthor Corp is going to have an iconic piece of the Metropolis skyline. Same with the Daily Planet. I love the world building that brings to it. And the fact that, James has said this is inspired by Game of Thrones, like the world building of it all. Magnificent. We got another. Any chance Alan Tudyk is playing Van Wayne?
That's his character from Powerless, which was the very short-lived NBC sitcom. I don't think he is. I know he's supposedly in the movie as a character that they won't say yet. So we'll see what that ultimately ends up being. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Will Magnus and we continue that thread from Creature Commandos, but I don't know.
Well, Alan Tudyk is several characters in Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
To your point, though, about the architecture of Metropolis, the thing I love the most that stands out, Metropolis is the city of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think this Luthor Corps building kind of displays that. But also, like, back to the Daily Planet, that looks like a timeless, classic Daily Planet. And I love, like you said, it's the merging of this modern world with this classic world that everybody's familiar with Metropolis.
Yeah, and here's a comment right here. Alex, I love how Metropolis is going to look in this movie. We all agree. We got to keep moving, though. We got to keep moving. We got to get through this. Okay. He doesn't look like a friend. Go ahead.
No, I loved hearing from the set visit quotes that came out on Tuesday that just like Lex already has this beef with Superman. I'm very curious like what that necessarily means for his relationship with Clark, because it kind of said like they don't know each other personally, but I'm like, does he just not know Superman personally, or does he not know Clark personally? Because again, to bring up Smallville, they baked in the relationship between the two of them of like years of friendship that then turned into animosity. And so I'm curious if there's any inkling of that, or if they just hate each other on principle, or is it just a one-sided beef? Like that is very curious. Like makes me very curious.
Speaking of Smallville, Jenna, that's something that Nicholas kind of addressed. That was one of his earlier iterations that he saw of Superman, and he praised Michael Rosenbaum's Lex, which arguably is one of the best Lexes there is. So I'm really excited to see what Nicholas brings to that role.
Do we think there's any chance that this gun has a kryptonite bullet, or that ring has kryptonite in it?
Oh,
I mean, it's possible. Or maybe this is the first test shot where he shoots Superman and the bullets bounce off. Who knows yet?
Oh, true. I mean, this dude is dressed as James Bond. I feel like this is Nicholas Hoult being like, well, you could have picked me.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't picked anybody yet, so maybe they still will. But Superman looking, he's busting out somewhere. I find that to be a real. I don't remember. I actually forgot about this shot from the theater. This is really cool.
So the question is, do you think that is something that like a trap that Lex puts him in, or do you think
that?
Right.
Or no, actually, because there's the set photos of Rick Flag, so it's like I wouldn't be surprised if they're like apprehending him in some way, and this is like a temporary holding cell, and that's how he breaks out of it. But maybe Lex is somehow involved with that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw photos of him in handcuffs in those set photos, so I would assume this is him playing along and then busting out when he realizes he just can't play along anymore. So he's just like, I saw a comment, maybe a bullet for Lois or something, like maybe Lex is after somebody with that gun, and this is the moment where Superman is like, you know what? I know I want your trust and I want you to like me. That's why I dress like this, but I'm done playing along. I got to take action now. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And like, he knows his cause is good, and he's he's seeking truth and justice. Maybe that's what's happening there. I like this shot of the Superman flag being raised, showing that there are people around the world who have hope in him. And then at the same time, this shot, can to the back of the head. Goodness. This makes it feel grounded in reality to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have to assume there are going to be people that are afraid of Superman.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. It's like the good version of Homelander, and there's still going to be people who hate him. I mean, Homelander's the bad version of Superman, but you get what I'm saying. I like that. I like the grounded in reality. I like Rachel with the comment about the curl. Will of the Force says the score was so impactful. This trailer barely needed dialogue. Perfect trailer, ready for all the Superman hype. Crypto, take me home. The
wear in his suit looks like the image from when we first saw the costume reveal.
Oh yeah.
Maybe this is before he ends up in the snow.
I could see that.
Maybe somebody shows up here and fights him, and he defends these people who are just being mean to him anyway.
Or it could be after that, and he makes it back to Metropolis, and does.
Is this the same door as the Daily Planet? Let's go take a look.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so either, but no, that's a revolving door.
No, yeah, that's different.
Yeah. But interesting. Maybe I'd assume this is like a courthouse, given that there's a cop outside.
Oh.
Superman probably getting in trouble for something he didn't do.
Maybe it's Stag Industries, because we do see that later in the trailer. Like that's the building where the other heroes. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is just Stag Industries.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
There it is, Stag Industries. Yeah.
Yep. And then you got Guy Gardner walking into Stag Industries as well. Is he just like being flashy for the crowd there?
Yes. Anyone who has read a Guy Gardner comic will understand. He has an ego. He definitely has bravado, but also has like a lot of insecurities underneath all of that. So I absolutely think he's being flashy just for the sake of being flashy.
Yeah. And then Superman again. What are your thoughts on Green Lantern's bowl cut? I mean, it's silly. I think it sets the tone for the character who's flashy, maybe in sort of hollow ways. We'll see. I don't know. I think because the bowl cut just to me screams, dude, what?
This is the Guy Gardner from like ripped out of the comics with his bowl cut. Like that is the infamous one that I remember from like Justice League International.
Yeah. If you didn't do the bowl cut, it would be a problem. So I'm glad that we got that.
2024, a haircut like that, it's like,
but it's an alternate history. It's an alternate world. Like he thinks it's a good haircut, and that kind of says a lot about the character in and of itself.
Yes, 100%. That's my point. Is he thinks it's a good haircut, and to me, taking that from the comics, putting it in this world is gonna, based on how this is like a alternate version of our world, people are gonna be like, bro, what's that haircut? We can pull up the. Oh wait, we missed it. God, that haircut's ridiculous. But
also love that Superman has this little S curl.
Yeah.
Something that has been missing for a while.
Yep.
Do we think Lois knows Clark is Superman? Let's get to that in a second. Alex, thank you for asking. Hawk Girl. Jen, I know you're hyped.
Yeah, I love Hawk Girl.
I remember being in the trenches of thinking, like, will she appear in Black Adam? Is that even a possibility? Will I see her in live action in a movie context? Would not have imagined that it would have been this context, but I love Isabella Merced. She's an amazing actress, and this shot is just so quintessential to like who she is. I'm so excited.
This is a comic book shot brought to life. You got the sun, the skyline, the character. I mean, come on, dude. Just good to see. Booked and busy after the last movie. So I'm not even going to name it. I'm not even going to name it. I mean, that looks great.
Yeah.
Look at this kaiju. Do we know who that is?
So there were leaks for like the merchandise for this movie for like the McFarlane action figures, and it literally just labeled it as kaiju. Like there was no specific sort of name. Sure. I wouldn't be surprised if this somehow has a comic tied to it. I know a lot of people think Solaris has something to do with this movie, given the All-Star Superman of it all. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it's just a kaiju.
I think this is the first scene of the movie.
Oh.
I asked James Gunn, and this was not part of the Q&A, so everyone listening, if you credit somebody, please. I need the help to grow the damn channel and my own livelihood. But I asked James Gunn one-on-one after the Q&A and the trailer event, how much of the movie is in the trailer, and he goes, nothing. And that's James Gunn, typically with a strong reaction. But then he went on to say a lot of it is in the beginning. There's a couple moments that are from later in the movie, but it's all stuff we know people are going to know. They're going to know Clark and Lois kiss, like stuff like that. So that's what he said. So that makes me go, all right, you already talked about how the movie starts in the middle of the action. You're telling me all this stuff is from the beginning of the movie. This kaiju is obviously not a major player in the storyline. I'm pretty sure he's going to get washed right here in this scene. I'll bet you this is the first scene of the movie. And it looks awesome. Like in an age where VFX have been crunched and they've as a result been letting audiences down a bit, I think everything in this looks tight.
So this would be James Gunn's second kaiju in a DC film.
Oh yeah,
back to back.
That is such a cool shot. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is a comic shot. Like this is a comic.
Yeah.
Gotta head to work soon, said Ryan. But I really enjoyed the trailer. I'll be watching the recording later. Thanks for getting up early for this. Thank you, Ryan. You go, bro. All right. There's the first look photo shot. Superman suiting up while possibly Cersei is wreaking havoc out there, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it looks like the same power that we saw in the first episode of Creature Commandos.
See, my brain just went to something with Lex, some sort of like mad scientist machinations that he's doing with that.
Yeah, this seems like the type of thing that could be later in the movie. One of the shots that's later, like he said, people know Clark and Lois kiss. It's a question of whether or not Lois knows that she's literally looking at Clark. Because, I mean, there's a comic where Superman says, I'm Clark. And she's like, no, you're not. So the glasses really earn their paycheck. So I don't know if that's going to happen in this movie. But you would think that she knows this is the guy she works with if they're standing this close to each other.
You would be surprised.
Listen, I know. But
there's been so many comics and so many stories that turn that dynamic into a love triangle of like Lois might be more in love with Superman than she is in love with Clark, but then Clark is in love with Lois. So it's like there are plenty of ways to plot force the fact that she might not know that it's Clark.
Yeah. Scott, absolutely making my morning with another great live. I hope everyone here is subscribed to the channel. Constant quality. Scott, come on, man. You're too kind. You're too kind, my friend. Thank you for that. Third kaiju, if we count Giant Cow from Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Good call. Good call. Pastomi. Or Stomi, I'm sorry. All right, let's keep moving here. Wow, they're getting to it. Rachel Brosnahan did say that the relationship can best be described as they work hard, play hard, and love hard. And she made a joke about how they bump into each other in more than one way. So this movie might get a little saucy with Lois and Clark. Yeah,
I really hope they take a page out of Superman and Lois's book where she's more in love with Clark and Superman is almost like the afterthought. And this seems like that's Clark Kent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's Clark Kent. That's Superman, and she might not know they're two different people. So is that cheating then?
Man, she's just doing her job in the other scene, okay? She's probably just interviewing Superman.
Like, imagine if Clark wasn't Superman and he found out his girl was out flying in the skies kissing that guy. That'd be tough. I mean, you'd be like, I get it, he's Superman, but also, nah.
That's exactly why the love triangle has worked for so long, because you really play up that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dylan. Dylan says the glasses are off, and in that scene, yeah, maybe she does find out that that's Clark. Or Clark.
Any thoughts on this robot here? That
I think that's Kellex, who is the Fortress of Solitude kind of like AI assistant, basically the robotic Alfred of the Fortress of Solitude. That's who I'm convinced is.
I presume this is in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
This shot. And the Fortress of Solitude scene in the comic where he shows Lois around, it's great. I mean, it's Superman's man cave. And I actually asked David about that after the Q&A about, like, I was like, dude, one of my favorite parts of the comic is, when he takes Lois there and you see all those collectibles basically that he has from his Supermaning. And he had just had his baby right before they filmed at the Fortress of Solitude. And he got to take photos holding his little baby in the Fortress of Solitude, dressed as Superman, and I was just like, dude, that's so cool. I mean, I'm telling you, he's down to earth. And I met his wife, Julia, lovely. She was there too, and they're just such chill people. It was just cool. I'm glad to know the people behind this movie are nice, good people.
So Lizzie in the chat says, Alan, do you think that can be Alan Tudyk's character as Kellex?
I could see that. Yeah.
Probably. I could see it. Fortress of Solitude maybe emerging here, I would say. This shot, at first I went Bizarro, but Metamorpho makes more sense.
It's Metamorpho. I also, like, it took me till the second viewing because he's not this wrinkly in the comics, so that really, like, tripped me up.
No.
But the purple arm, once you, like, brighten the trailer and brighten your screen a little bit, it is undeniably Metamorpho.
Oh,
you worked quick, Jenna. I saw this on the big screen, and I was like, was that Bizarro? And then I went home and I thought about it more, and I was like, no, it's Metamorpho. And I looked at pictures of Metamorpho from comics. This is kind of in line, like you said. He's not this wrinkly, but he does have lines in his face and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And then that cuts to a building falling down. Hold on a second. I don't remember that shot.
I don't remember that in the trailer either.
I don't know what building that is, but that looks bad.
It almost looks like the Daily Planet without the globe on top.
Is that the kaiju knocking it over?
I think so.
Lex looking furious, clearly just been in a battle of some sort. He's got some scratches on his face. Maybe he's watching that newscast and getting mad about it. What's on the newscast? What does it say? Baravian troops amassing at border.
That's the same kid that's holding the pole, right? That's crying?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Or not crying, but asking for Superman's help.
Baravia is a comic, a location in DC Comics. It is a small country in the Alps. And we just got Pokolistan in Creature Commandos, which is another small fictional nation in DC Comics. Was really barely ever used in DC Comics, but when it was in Superman books.
Maybe this is the location where, after Superman interferes, somebody throws the can at the back of his head because he's interfering in some type of international incident.
Yeah.
That it's not pro-America. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. I do. Is this Superman like pushing the kaiju?
Maybe.
Like, is he literally just holding the kaiju off of a building here?
Yeah, it looks like it.
And then we've got Crypto pulling Superman. What a oh my God, Crypto, the goodest boy, but seemingly possibly not the goodest boy. This shot on a baseball field or a football field.
Baseball.
Pretty damn cool. Mr. Terrific, yo. And then I think that's Lois in there with him in the orb that he created with the shield.
It looks like it. Granted, my screen's really small right now, but that looks like it.
Fighting off a bunch of soldiers in black. I assume this is people like with the engineer.
Yeah.
Or this could be that the country that what is it called that you just mentioned?
Oh yeah, it could be
Baravia.
Baravia.
Yeah. This shot is great. I mean,
yes.
Come on, like these are comic book shots brought to life. Lois and Clark in the air, floating, kissing. This might be the first time she kisses him while he's flying. I bet. It just seems like that kind of moment, and it's shot so wonderfully. Like, look at the framing of that. It looks like a train station. I can't really tell. And then just flying through fire, taking off. We look up, and there's no Superman title logo in this. Just Lois and Superman hugging. Well, I guess, she hasn't cheated yet. She only hugged Superman. That's fair. That's fair. Hugging, you can hug your friends. I'm just kidding. I think Lois is a stand-up journalist, and she's awesome. No Superman logo or title card in the trailer. James Gunn said, I don't know, just felt like it.
I love that the only time you like hear anything Superman is just the kid whispering it, like calling for him to come. Like, I think that speaks volumes to this movie and the significance and like what James is wanting to display about hope. Like, I think that says so much while saying so little. It's like everyone watching this trailer is going to recognize that it's Superman. So you almost don't need a title card.
Rachel corrected me. She just smooched him while flying. 100% she did. I was just trying to look out for my boy Clark. Okay, they're two different people. And James also he said nobody really knows Superman or Clark unless they know both of them. And he did say that his parents know this obviously, and there's so few people he wouldn't really say who. But he did say Lois Lane knows Superman. So I'm not sure. Like I read the transcript back from the set visit, and I wasn't sure what he meant by that. She's doing a Nicole Kidman in Batman Forever, said Murder Burger. Thank you for the comment, Murder Burger. Post-credit scene. I asked James Gunn about if there's a credit scene. What he said was Sort of. If you look at my credit scene on the Marvel movies, the one time I fucked myself was when I put Adam Warlock in, because I'm like, oh shit, now I got to put Adam Warlock in the next movie, which actually was a pain in the ass. So I'm not going to set up whole universes with end credit scenes. I love giving audiences who sit through all of the credits end credit scenes, but I'd rather it be something that's fun for fans and not necessarily, hey, we're setting up a whole next part of the universe, because I know how it goes, and I know that it's like, I know what it's like, and it's like you think of the best credit scene, but then you got to adhere to that down the road. So obviously we're going to get something in the credits, but probably not some sort of setup. He's pretty clear. Peacemaker will get a little bit of setup in this, and that's obviously just a reference to Frank Grillo's Rick Flag, who Creature Commando, Superman, then Peacemaker season 2. But yeah, and Logan says we have to remember this is not an origin film. No, it is not. This is a DC Universe origin, if anything, for the audience, but it's already there. But anything else you guys want to talk about on this trailer?
James also mentioned, I don't remember who asked him, but when we were doing our little meet and greet, he also mentioned that the runtime wasn't completely confirmed, but he said it was under 2.5 hours.
Yep.
Okay.
He did say that. He did say it was under 2.5 hours. That's a good call. Yeah. That trailer is amazing. 1,100 people watching. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Please continue to subscribe. Also, make sure you subscribe to Jenna at Go Read Some Comics on YouTube. Make sure you follow Joe and his work at Screen Rant, because Joe works his ass off, and the Screen Rant team works their ass off to support his great work. I
just got to start crediting you and the show, man.
I would love to see. We'll get there. Clayface. Ask Peter Safran about Clayface after this Q&A. That's going to start filming beginning of next year. Is it campy? No, it is The Fly, he said. So that's interesting.
And look, I love Mike Flanagan. I love what that guy does. I like Dr. Sleep. I loved his the shows that he had on Netflix. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to a character like Clayface.
Totally agree. Brandon Moore said Joe does fantastic interviews at Screen Rant. I agree.
Thanks, Brandon. I love that, dude. I told you, your check's in the mail, buddy. I'll get them later.
All right, y'all. Well, I mean, the Superman trailer is phenomenal. It exceeded my expectations. To me, it makes you feel like you're a part of something if you've been a fan of this. It just feels like wish fulfillment. And I adore this trailer. I think this was a really fun time discussing it in real time with everybody. Anything else we want to say? Joe, I'll let you go first.
I don't need another trailer, actually. I kind of hope that they don't release another one, because I feel like this does enough to keep the plots under wraps. So I hope that there's not another one. James did say that there's at least one more coming, but I just want this one and people to go. I kind of want to go in blind just with what we had there.
There's definitely going to be more. He knows it. But yeah, I'm with you. I just want to see the movie now, but I know it's not done. Jenna, what about you?
I'm totally ready for another trailer, but at the same time, I can't wait to watch this a million more times. The fact that we're so far out from this movie and already getting a trailer is a testament to the quality and how much faith they have in the project. I feel like putting something out at the Super Bowl would just do gangbusters. So that is kind of where I'm expecting the second trailer. But I still feel like even if we do get something, it won't spoil the movie. There will still be so much that we'll be surprised by.
James was open about how rigorously involved with this trailer he was, and that means to me he's not going to let spoilers get out there. It also he emphasized how he wanted this trailer to be authentic to the movie and really encapsulate what we're going to get in the movie without revealing all of the movie. Oh, Alex with a bold take right now. Superman more anticipated than Fantastic Four. We'll wait until Wednesday to settle. Oh, well, Wednesday's Christmas. Our next show. We'll let the dust settle a bit, and then we'll really get into a debate of whether or not Superman's going to be the biggest superhero movie of 2025. Obviously, a possibility of that. We'll have that debate later on Phase Hero. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching with us. Please subscribe to the channel if you're listening in podcast form. Thank you. Please leave a 5-star review. If you have thoughts, if you have questions, drop them in the comment section on this video or on other videos on the channel. Send them to us on social media at Hey, it's Jenna Lynn, at Joe Deckelmeyer, right?
Yep.
So go find Joe. Joe does tons of interviews. I mean, Joe is at everything, like everything. I think Joe's girlfriend would love if Joe worked a little bit less, because this man is constantly busting his ass for Screen Rant, and I respect the hell out of it. But I guess that's just Lois and Clark of it all, isn't it? Joe, I'm not calling you Superman. I'm just saying I've never seen you two in the room together.
That's correct.
Thank you, Joe, for hanging out with us. Thanks to Screen Rant for letting
Thank
me
you.
borrow him. And everybody, we will see you in the next video.